guys, welcome to my acrylic blank tutorial. Make sure if you haven't subscribed to my channel, you do that now. So the first step is to sand lightly with 400 grit sandpaper. And then I'm going to take a lint-free wipe and wipe it down with rubbing alcohol. I will link the wipes and this little dispenser below. And then I make sure I dry it really well. And you want to make sure it dries completely. So give it like a good hour before you add your glitter. So the first thing you're going to do is put like a little tiny drop of Brite Tone and spread it to all of the edges. Brite Tone is preferred to adhere to the acrylic. So that's why I'm using it. I actually use Brite Tone the whole way through. So I'm just going to set it down and let it self-level. I'm using Poseidon from Zindy.com. It's my first time using Zindy glitter. It comes in a nice glass bottle, but it came like, and the glitter got everywhere. I didn't like that. Like it was so messy when I unpackaged it. But we'll see how it looks. So once it self-levels, I'm going to sprinkle my glitter. See, it's everywhere. My glitter over the top of my blank, and I always pour on like a generous amount, knowing that I'm going to tap off any excess eventually. And then once it's on, I'm going to use my finger. This is wax paper. I'm just going to use my finger to sort of push the glitter down into the Brite Tone. And from here, I will let it dry for 4 hours. Very pretty glitter. Look, it's super shiny and sparkly. I'm going to let it dry for 4 hours. So after 4 hours, you should decide if you want to do a second coat of glitter. First, you're going to tap any excess off, so you don't have any, extra. And then you have to decide if you want another coat. So on the back of this, I still have the brown paper backing. So I'm going to show you, excuse the mess, what it looks like up against the light. You can kind of see, like if you were just using glitter and nothing else, you'd probably want another coat. You can kind of see where it's a little transparent. But for this one, I'm putting vinyl on the back, like on almost all of it, so I'm not too worried. And I'm going to actually sprinkle some chunky glitter over the top of this. But what you'll do basically is just pour on a little bit, a little goes a long way, a little bit of Brite Tone, bring it to all of the edges, and then you can either, do your second coat of glitter, or in this particular case, I like to clean up the edges as I go. I am going to add some chunky. So this is Trident. It's a matching chunky. It's the same color, just chunky version, also from Zindy. Again, see, like there's glitter everywhere. I don't like that. But I'm just going to sprinkle it over my Brite Tone. You can either just do one coat, do a second coat of your fine glitter, or sprinkle a chunky. You can do whatever makes you happy. Clean up the edges with your finger just so you don't have any glitter hanging over the edge. And then make sure you let it dry for 4 hours on a level surface. My table is level, but if your table is not level, you're going to have some problems. And then I also like to use my weeding tool and just sort of clean out the hole so there's no glitter in there as well. So after 4 hours, just tap off any excess, and then you're going to start your layers. So every layer, you're just going to do a very tiny amount of Brite Tone, and then bring it to the sides. And then you're just going to keep doing your layers until it is smooth. There's no set number of how much you need or how many you should do. Just keep going until you're satisfied. So one thing I will say, after about 4 or so layers, you'll want to give it a sand. So again, every layer needs to dry 4 hours in between, and you're just going to keep going until you're satisfied. So here's an example. After about 4 or so layers, I give it a light sand with 400 grit, or like 600 or 1000, something high grit, and it should be smooth when you run your finger over it. So then you're just going to rinse it with water and dry with a lint-free wipe or coffee filter. And then you're going to keep doing your layers. So here, this is my last layer, but you just keep going till you're happy. There's no rules as to how many layers you need. Just go until you're satisfied. So once that side is smooth, I do like to wait like 24 hours before I start working on the second side, just because you're going to be drying with that side down. But at this point, you can remove the paper backing from the other side, and you want to be careful moving forward so you don't get any Brite Tone on the opposite side that you already finished. Okay, so I'm using my weeding tool just to clean out the hole. They do sell little plugs you can buy. I'll link those below to keep that side keep the hole protected if you wanted to use that. I'll link them below. So I like to layer my vinyl before I apply it to my blank. So it just is easier for me to do that. And I use the wet method to apply my vinyl. So I like to throw it on a piece of paper towel. And in this spray bottle, I filled it up with water and put like a little drop of soap in there, like baby soap or dish soap. Dawn dish soap is fine. And then you apply your vinyl. The reason I like to do the wet method is because, one, it helps you get 0 bubbles. And if you've done blanks long enough, if you use a large piece of vinyl, you can get bubbles. Or you can see what I just did is I just took it off. So you can reposition if you don't get it right the first time. Okay, so that's why I use the wet method. Use your squeegee to remove any excess water from under the vinyl. And then let it dry like a 30 minutes to an hour before you remove your transfer tape. So you know it's all good on there and it's not going to come off. Because if there's still any moisture under there, it's going to come off your blank. So just let it dry and then you can remove your vinyl. You can see that there's an edge around my vinyl, and I do that on purpose so my Crystalac can go all the way to the edge. So once you remove your transfer tape, I'm going to poke my hole through. I don't usually cut the hole out with my machine, but you certainly can. And I just use my weeding tool to do that. And then you can add your Brite Tone. So you're just going to, again, just like the other side, keep putting layers on until it is smooth or you are satisfied. So you're just going to put on thin layers. So this process does take longer than if you're going to use epoxy or especially UV resin, because you're going to do these very, very thin layers and you need to let it dry 4 hours in between. And you're talking like 4, 5, 6 layers here on your vinyl or on your glitter. So just know it is a much longer process than if you were to use UV resin especially, but it is safer. So clean up your edges and let dry. And then once it sits for like 3 to 5 days, it's ready for hardware and to be given to whoever gets to keep it. So I got this hardware from Craft Chameleon. I'm sure they have it on Amazon. But I'm going to use my jump ring opener thingy and my tweezers to open this jump ring. And you want to twist it sideways to open. The opener I got on Amazon and the jump rings you can get, you want to make sure you have heavy duty jump rings, which you can get from like any craft store, but you want to get the heavy duty ones. So I apply my hardware. This one I'm making a backpack tag, so I wanted the clip, but you could just use traditional keychain hardware, and then you just pinch it closed. And you could leave it as is, but sometimes I like to dress up my blanks by using some like tassels or bezels or whatever cute little stuff. So I'm gonna take another jump ring, apply my tassels and the bezels, and attach it anywhere on your keychain. So I'll link where I get all of my supplies. I made this particular bezel with epoxy, so I'll have to experiment to see if that's something I can do with Crystalac. But then, once it's all attached, it is ready to go. And that's it. It's super shiny. It does not dome like epoxy or UV resin, but I think it is equally as awesome. Don't forget to subscribe down to my channel to get the latest weekly videos and tutorials. I am glad you are here, and if you have any questions, please comment below. Oh, and make sure you follow me on Instagram at Allison Crafts. Thanks for watching.